I'm Stuart Bloor. I'm going roach fishing shortly, but before I do, let me show you some of my bait products that I've got at home, and in particular making up a ground bait mix. As you can see right there on the floor in front of me, I've got some brown crumb. It's a standard sack, and I like to buy these in bulk, get hold of these in bulk. I've got brown crumb, white crumb, ground wheat, and it's a great base mix to start thinking about making up your own ground bait. And then when you've got your base mix there, the bulk products that you can get hold of, you can start to add specialist things like this nitro method corn, which gives it a very specific flavour, a very specific species maybe that you're going for. So these are good ideas to add. And of course the advantage there is that you can buy stuff like this, buy the bulk, which is cheaper, and then you can start to get value for money. And then finally, you've got your base mix, your bulk crumb, white crumb, a little bit of wheat added, whatever. Got your specialised ingredients that you can add in certain measurements to that. And then finally, just come and look inside one of my tubs here. I've got 4 of these at home that are full of various bait products. Obviously there's lots of different things here at the moment for various stuff. Obviously some barbel things there. But in particular, thinking about items such as corn steep liquor, whiskey link, as you can see. I've got through that quite well. Got some liquid lobworm there, maybe perch fishing, building up a ground bait for perch fishing. All of these things can be added at the water's edge. And then of course, just moving on a little bit, some M2 boilie dip. I've got some frankfurter flavour there, got some squiddy flavour there. All these things can be added when we're going for various species. And so it's all just an effective way really of producing a cheap or cheapish ground bait with your own ingredients. And of course the great thing is you get the advantage of catching with your own products. And these things that I've just listed there, the corn steep liquor, the whiskey link and so on, they're added at the water's edge once you put the water in from the venue. So let's go. I'm now at the water's edge. As you can see behind me, there's the lake. There's my bucket, and in there I've got some wheat, the ground wheat, the brown crumb, and some white crumb. And then to give it that zing, some whiskey link. Mix that up, that'll go in the cage feeder. I'm actually fishing maggot on this particular occasion, so I'll put some in the cage feeder, and of course a single on the hook, size 18 hook, and then cast out. Cage feeder packed there, as you can see. I've got a hook length of about 5 inches on this occasion, and there's the single maggot. Let's go. The rod's out now and I'm watching that. I'm fishing about 30 metres. I'm not fishing with bite alarms, I'm fishing with a single rod with a quiver tip, and it's a good way of fishing because you can see the bite, can't you, as it happens, as opposed to hearing it off the bite alarm. Obviously an isotope for when it gets dark. Casting out about 30 metres in good 10 foot plus of water. So what you do is you cast out, you allow the cage feeder to hit the water, and then just gently let the line through your finger as it drops to the bottom. So you've not got too much slack, a big bow in your line, but you're keeping a reasonably tight contact where the feeder lies, so you can start to build up a regular trickle of bait going in the same area. That's important. So as I say, rod's out, just waiting now for my roach. Now that is an example of what not to do. Sometimes we're learning the positive, other times learning the negative. That's not my float, by the way. It's one that's hanging there. If you're fishing underneath a tree, I'm fishing underneath a tree, that's fine, but you have to cast accordingly. And that tree actually is quite high up, those branches, so somebody's cast there who's literally been casting up in the air. So it doesn't look good, does it, really, for angling? So that's not a good idea really. If you're not very good at casting, a novice or whatever, then go and fish somewhere where you're not going to get caught on things like that, because next time it could be some pylons, and then it wouldn't just be a float stuck up a branch, it would be your life gone. So these things are there for a reason. When we see signs saying no fishing in this area, particularly with pylons, and this is why I'm leading on to this, the safety aspect. Often the canals with pylons going over, people will fish between the lines where they shouldn't, but you need to be careful. While I'm waiting for my tip to pull round off a 2-pound roach, got a couple of birds so far, both gulls as you've seen. The first one was a lesser blackback gull, just one on this lake this evening. Don't see them on here very often, occasionally. And the second one is a black-headed gull, quite a few on here, particularly this time of the year. They tend to roost on here and come in fairly decent numbers for the size of the lake. So that's the bird that you see in the summer that has black-headed is a bit misleading really. It's more like a brown hood, but that's the bird you see in the summer that has that sort of black head, or as I say, it's a brown hood really. In the winter they lose that colour and it just becomes a little bit of a spot on the head. But great birds. I love gulls. In fact, I love all birds really. Had a few taps. I've just struck into my first roach of the session. Hopefully it's going to make the net. Hold it up for the camera. There you go. Not a monster, but I'm not a blanker. Bringing my second fish in. Hopefully a roach. It's always nice to catch a target species, isn't it? Let's get the net. Not that it's a massive fish, but I'll net it. There it is. Not a big fish at all, but very welcome. Quite chilly now as the sun has set. And I've just seen my first bat of the year. Can you believe it? I only had a little glimpse of it, but definitely a bat. No question at all there. I think it was a little bit bigger than a pipistrel. Could have been a pipistrel. There are Daubenton's here, so could possibly have been a Daubenton's. I'm not sure. All I know is I saw my first bat of the year. Do like to identify them, but you need sometimes a good sighting to do that. Well, I'm watching my rod top there. I've had a few taps, so there are definitely some feeding fish out there. Hopefully something a bit bigger as well. That would be great. But the video now comes to an end, and as I so often say, if you want to know how I get on in the rest of the session, of course read the article and the sessions that will follow this. My intention for this particular angling journal entry is to do several, as many as I can, several short evening sessions, dusk into dark, after the roach. So if you want to know how I get on, then check my angling journal article. And if you're on Facebook, make sure you like my page, because I do tweet, which is linked to my Facebook, from the water's edge, so you can keep up with my angling adventures that way. See you soon.